Why is it that you always feel like you're behind other people? Whether it's the people at your school or the people that you work with, your family members, your friends, why does it always seem like you're the one who's struggling or you're the one who's behind? The reality is, if you are having this feeling like you are inadequate and that everyone else around you is more successful than you, the reality is you're spending more time focusing on them and what they're doing than you are yourself. So let me say that again. If you right now feel as though you're inadequate, you feel as though you aren't successful and everyone else is always so far ahead of you and you're behind for your age, the reality is you're focusing more on everyone else around you than you are yourself. You're focusing more on their gifts, their abilities, and what they're successful at than taking the time to understand what your abilities and your superpowers are. So, an analogy for this that's kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense is imagine there's a bird, okay, and he's flying over the water and he looks down, he sees the fish swimming, and he like thinks to himself, he's like, yo, why is it that I can't, swim as fast as these fish? Why is it that I can't hold my breath as long as these fish can? And the fish look up and they see the bird, or they see the bird flying, and they wonder the same thing. They're like, why can't we, fly? Why can't we, breathe air? Why is it that we have to stay underwater all the time? And that's basically what's going on with you because they're built for different things, right? The fish is designed to swim underwater while the bird is designed to fly. And so it's as if you are one of these creatures constantly looking at the other one and going, why can't I do what they can do? And the reality is because you're not designed for that. That's not your purpose. That's not where your inherent gifts lie. And you are an individual. There's no one else like you in this entire world, right? There's no one else like you on earth. You are a singular individual who has gifts and abilities and insights that cannot be replicated by anybody else. Literally, there's no one else who can replicate you. There's no one else like you. And so for you to throw that all away, to compare yourself constantly to other people and wonder, why am I not successful? Why can't I find success? The reason is right there in front of you. The reason you can't find success and the reason why you're struggling and you always feel behind all these other people and you haven't done enough for your age is because you're focused so much on everyone else. You need to be focused on what you can do. You need to be focused on your gifts and your abilities. And this is one of the biggest problems I see when it comes to social media is before you may have had a tribe, right? And within the tribe, it's you compare yourself because you want to know where you are in the hierarchy and who's doing what and who has what abilities. But now the tribe is like the entire world. It's like you go on social media and you literally can see the most crazy outliers and like the 1% of the human population who's like extremely jacked or extremely wealthy. And it makes you compare yourself to them. But the reality is it doesn't make any sense to do that because number one, you are not them. They are not you. You, like I said, there is no one else like you on this planet. And so you cannot compare yourself to them because your circumstances are completely different and your innate gifts and what you were put here to do is completely different. So there's no point in comparing yourself and getting down about, being whatever age you are and not having the success that you think that you should have because everyone on social media is saying this is what success is. In reality, the only way to become successful, and as I experience more in life, I start to see this more and more, is the people who become really successful. And I don't mean just material, they've got the Lamborghinis and women and the penthouses and all that stuff. I'm not talking about material success. I'm talking about success as in they find their purpose, they find their life's work, and they're actually happy and passionate to be living every single day, are the people who disregard what society says they should do and instead focus on their authentic gifts. They find their purpose and they go deep into that. And they really bring that out and share it with the world. Because that's the only way to really discover who you are as a human being is to become authentic as you can possibly be. And so this really is the comparison trap because when you compare yourself to other people and you get this feeling of envy or jealousy or just that you're not enough and you should be more, you're stifling your own gifts. You're stifling your own abilities because what you're saying is you're inadequate. And nothing could be further from the truth than that because you have things inside of you that cannot be replicated. If you want to access that deeper part of yourself and you really want to start to discover some of the gifts that you may have or abilities that you may have that make you, singular and really stand out, is to really start thinking about maybe doing some journaling, right? There's different tools that you can use. Journaling is one of them. This right here, recording videos, talking to the camera, even if you don't post it on YouTube, you can still record content just for yourself, just to be able to communicate and speak, right? And get better at speaking, getting your thoughts flowing, getting everything out. And then meditation. Those three tools can be really helpful, and they've helped me a lot to kind of get deeper into discovering what are my abilities, what are my gifts, what are the things that I struggle with, because there's a lot of things that in this modern day we don't want to really think about, and so we just keep it in the back of our minds, in the back, and we just close the door and we just don't even think about it. But meditation, journaling, speaking to the camera, all these kind of things really will help you bring that stuff out. And it's important that you do eventually do that, because that's the only way to really discover your inner core and figuring out like who you are. So don't worry so much about everybody else. Let everyone else do what they do. Let them take their path and road to success, because the worst thing that could happen to you, really, in reality, the worst thing that could happen to you, and I know you may not think this, but the worst thing that could happen to you would be that you have a mission, you have a purpose here, and you have gifts that could be shared with the world in some unique way, right? That's you. And instead you throw it all away to go chase this quote unquote form of success that we see. And within my sort of realm of, self-improvement, being online and stuff, a lot of the guys that we have to really look up to are very materialistic. I don't know what it is about the internet, but it swings back and forth. Like, you'll have some years where it's like all about minimalism. Minimalism is so great, a delayed gratification. And then all of a sudden the pendulum swings over to, instant gratification, hedonism, materialism. And right now we're on this sort of spectrum where it's all about materialistic. So all you see constantly is people flexing their cars, flexing their millionaire status, the women, and all of these things are not inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with going after these things if you truly want them. But if you don't, and you have another path that you should be taking, and instead you've been brainwashed and basically tricked by society and social media that you should go down this path, it's going to lead you to a bad place, because you could get to that point. Yeah, you could get there, but you're going to feel empty inside. You're going to feel dead inside because you didn't pursue your authentic self. So the most dangerous thing you can do is to basically give up your authentic self and just follow what society tells you to do, in whatever form that might be. And I see this all the time too, as like online like content creator, is people will see something that happens that's successful. Someone will post a video or a piece of content that goes viral. It's like, wow, for their niche, it's like they went viral, whatever their niche was. Then what you get is all these competitors coming in and going, oh wow, look at this person, look what they did. I'm gonna replicate it exactly, and I'm gonna get the same success. And I'm not exempt from this. I've tried doing this in the past. Okay, I've tried doing it, but the reality is you never actually get the same success as that person. And why? Because the special ingredient, the magical ingredient that you thought, was copying their thumbnail or their title or whatever, the way they did their video, it wasn't that. It was actually them, because they came up with that idea from their authentic self. And then by posting it to the world, they're sharing their unique gifts and their unique abilities that cannot be copied. You cannot copy or replicate it. You can't, because it's authentic. It's coming from them. No one is better at being you than you. Literally, it's impossible. So if you want to eliminate competition and you want to stop worrying about, what this person is doing or what that person's doing, you want to eliminate competition and comparison, it's to be yourself as much as possible, to be as authentic as you can be to yourself, and to not switch that up when it comes to sharing it with the world. And so many of us do this in whatever aspect, whether it be your job, whether you're a content creator like I do, that kind of thing, or whatever field that you're in, you're always going to be creating. And so if you don't do it from an authentic place, it leads you to a road of burnout, misery, and never being successful, because you're never actually sharing your unique abilities and gifts with the world. So the reason I use that example of like a viral video is just because it's relevant to my experiences. And you try to copy something like that, and all the competitors come in and try to replicate the same thing, but they don't see anywhere near the same amount of success. And I think the real thing is they don't understand that it's because you can't copy someone else. You cannot copy someone else who's original and who comes up with real, authentic shit. You just cannot copy it, because you aren't them. So you have to operate out of a place of coming from yourself versus looking outside and trying to do what everyone else is doing. That doesn't mean you can't learn from other people and that you can't take things in, but I think the way to do it is you have to filter it through your authenticity filter, I guess you could say, right? Like you have to filter what's coming in through who you are as a person and not let it really change you. You just have to let it like add on to what you already are as opposed to completely change you. So that's the thing, man. Just be aware of that. If you right now are feeling as though you're behind in life and everyone else is succeeding and you aren't making a difference in terms of your life and you're not moving forward, the reality is you spend a lot of time looking outside of you instead of looking inside of you to find your unique gifts and abilities that can be shared with the world. That's the other part of it, is when you find these unique abilities and gifts and different things, you have to share it with the world in order for you to have the maximum impact. You can't just keep it to yourself, right? You got to share that with the world. All of the great inventors and writers and artists, they found their unique gifts and then they shared it with the world and they became legendary, right? They became literally legendary. They went down in history forever. So that's what I would recommend. That's what I would recommend that you do. And really, there's no behind or head. If you feel like you're behind, you're only behind if you're not living the way you want to live. Don't compare yourself to the standards of society because that shit doesn't matter. That shit does not matter, bro. It changes every fucking day, every year, every week it changes. So are you living the life you want to live right now? And if you're not, then you need to work on that. If you're living the life you want to live right now, okay, and you have no money, but you're out in the freaking rainforest, you're having a blast, and you're making an impact, then you are successful because you're the only one who can determine whether or not you're successful because it's your life and we're all going to die. So there's no point in you comparing yourself to other people, is my point. So I hope that this really gets into your mindset. I hope that you can understand this and realize that wherever you are right now in life is as far as you've come, and don't get down on yourself about that. Just work on discovering your unique abilities, sharing it with the world, and moving towards the life that you want to live. And really think about questioning why you want the things you want. Because you may say you want a Lamborghini, you may say you want to be a millionaire, but do you really? Is that really the lifestyle you want to live? Or are you just saying that's what you want because you know it gets a lot of attention and you know that that's what society says you should do? So those are the things that I would think about. And those are the things that I've been thinking about. I'm not exempt from this. I still struggle with this. This is exactly why I'm making this video. It's because I know my younger self could definitely use this information or use this perspective change. So I think that's going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon. Peace.